I bounce on the balls of my feet with barely contained excitement, camera in hand, as I stand at the entrance to the abandoned rail yard. The setting sun paints the sky in fiery oranges and purples, a perfect dramatic backdrop for my latest video. Gravel crunches under my sneakers while I pan the camera around, capturing the graffiti-splattered brick walls and tangled weeds creeping up rusted tracks. "Hey everyone, it's your girl Poppy," I chirp, flashing a grin despite the goosebumps prickling on my arms. Tonight, we're doing something insane, reacting to Choo Choo Charles in real life. Yup, you heard that right. My voice echoes slightly in the open air, mixing with the distant caw of crows. I flip the camera to show the view behind me, an old steam locomotive parked dead on the tracks about 50 yards ahead, its silhouette jagged and hulking. The train is an imposing shadow against the twilight sky. Once bright red paint now peels off its engine car, and streaks of rust dribble down like dried blood. I swallow a flutter of nerves. It's one thing reacting to a horror game at home, it's a whole different vibe standing here with the actual train rumored to be haunted by a monster. My heart thumps in my chest, but I keep my tone upbeat for the sake of the recording. Beside me, a small robotic cat the size of a toaster scurries into frame. His eyes glow a soft blue, and metal paws patter on the gravel. This is Kit, my snarky sidekick and AI cat robot extraordinaire. He sits on his haunches and tilts his head at me. "You're really going through with this?" Kit asks, his voice a smooth, synthesized tenor that somehow manages to sound both sarcastic and concerned. I wink at the camera and then at Kit. Of course. The viewers love this stuff. You know how many clicks Choo Choo Charles IRL videos have been getting. If Lankybox can do it, so can we. My giggle comes out a tad shaky, but I press on. Plus, it's gonna be fine. It's just a cool promo or maybe an art installation. Not actually a demonic spider train. Kit's tail, a segmented metal cord, swishes skeptically. Aha. Famous last words, Poppy. Should I start analyzing escape routes now or wait until the demonic spider train is chasing us? He quips, eyes flashing in amusement. I can't help but laugh. His dry humor is exactly what I need to keep the jitters at bay. We'll be fine, I repeat, as much to convince myself as him. Worst case scenario, it's an actor in a cheesy costume and we get a good scream and a laugh. Best case, it's convincingly spooky and we get millions of views. We approach the train slowly. The locomotive's front end looms higher and higher, and I can make out details. The face of the engine has been modified, or maybe corroded, to resemble something cartoonishly sinister. Two headlights on the front look almost like glowing eyes, currently dark. There's even a grill of metal teeth bolted onto the cowcatcher in front, like a predatory grin. It's like a cosplayer gave Thomas the Tank Engine a horror makeover. Absurd, yet the effect sends a shiver up my spine. Okay, that is one creepy choo-choo, I mutter under my breath, though the camera likely picks it up. There's a metallic scent in the air, bold steel and something faintly sulfuric that catches in my throat. I glance down at Kit, who is scanning the engine with a faint whirring sound. Life sign readings, 0, he reports. Thermal imaging, negative. No humans aboard that I can detect. I nod. That's expected, this place was supposed to be deserted except for us. The whole thing is set up as a viral marketing ploy, or so I figured from the cryptic email invite I got. Come experience Choo Choo Charles in real life, it had said. Exclusive preview event for select influencers. Of course I jumped at it, half thinking it was a joke, half hoping it wasn't. Now, in the dying light, standing before this silent engine, I'm starting to wonder if the joke's on me. I run a hand through my pink-streaked hair and take a deep breath. The air tastes like iron. Well, shall we? I say, raising the camera again to capture my approach. Behind me, Kit pads along, his servos quietly whirring. We step over a broken section of track and up to the engine car. The locomotive door is open, hanging ajar as if inviting us in. Inside, it's dark, but I can just make out the outline of the engineer's cabin, the controls, levers, and a worn leather seat. My heart does a nervous little tap dance. This is it, the point of no return for tonight's adventure. I hop up onto the iron step and poke my head in. Hello. I call, half expecting a crew member or actor to jump out in costume and shout, "Boo," at me. My own voice comes back in a dull echo from deeper within the train cars. No answer. Kit leaps up beside me with surprising agility for a little robot, landing on the floor of the cabin with a clank. His eyes switch to night vision mode, casting a greenish beam that cuts into the darkness. "No one here, unless they're hiding behind the controls or something," he says. I swing the camera around the cabin. Dust motes dance in the air illuminated by Kit's light. The controls are old-fashioned, definitely from a bygone era, lots of analog gauges and levers. Cobwebs drape over one corner, and I spot something like a nest of wasp or hornet paper tucked up near the ceiling. The place smells musty, with a faint overlay of oil and burnt coal. Spooky, but empty, I narrate softly for the video. If this is a prank, they're really committing to the abandoned aesthetic. 10 out of 10 on ambience, you guys. I force out a chuckle. The camera's still rolling, though I'm debating whether to cut the live commentary and transition into exploration mode. Kit hops onto the engineer's seat, leaving tiny paw prints in the dust, and peers at the control panel. Perhaps the plan is to have the train start moving on its own, he muses. Remote-controlled maybe? As if on cue, a sudden creak echoes from further back in the train. Both Kit and I freeze. The hairs on the back of my neck stand up as I slowly pivot, aiming the camera and Kit's light down the narrow corridor that leads to the passenger cars. It's too dark to see anything beyond a few feet. Hello. I call again, softer this time. Did I just hear footsteps? Or was it the metal settling? My ears strain for the slightest sound. There's a long, heavy silence. Kit's tail wraps around my wrist gently, a sign he's on alert. I definitely heard something, Poppy, he whispers, just loud enough for my audio to pick up. I nod, swallowing. My mouth has suddenly gone dry. This is the part where in any good horror video I'd jump scare the audience with a friend in a mask. But I'm alone out here except for Kit, or at least I should be. I gently ease myself fully into the cabin and step toward the corridor connecting to the next car. My sneakers squeak on the grimy floor. I keep the camera pointed forward, using its light and Kit's built-in lamp to guide the way. The corridor is cramped, barely shoulder width, with peeling wallpaper that might have once been green but now just looks gray-brown and moldy. We inch forward. My heart is thudding so loudly I swear the mic might catch it. We're moving into the passenger area now, I whisper for the recording. Super dark, super creepy. If you're watching this at night, maybe turn your lights on. Kit snorts softly. Way to comfort them, Poppy. How about comforting us? I almost say something snappy back, but then I catch it, a low, almost imperceptible chuckle drifting through the air. It's gone as soon as I notice it, leaving me to wonder if it was just my imagination. I glance down at Kit. Did you? He interrupts, audio receptors detect laughter. Female, approximate age range undetermined. Location, possibly 2 cars ahead. There's a tight squeeze in my chest. There's someone here. An actual person. Maybe another YouTuber or an actor from the event. But if so, why not greet us or do the jump scare already? Why just laugh in the dark? Hello. I call out again, trying to keep my voice steady. If someone's there, you got us. Great scare. We're just here to film a collab or something. I take another tentative step, reaching the door to the next car. It's closed, but a sliver of darkness peeks through a crack. This door connects the engine to the first passenger car. I press my free hand against the door, feeling cold metal and peeling paint. It resists for a moment, then with a screech, slides open. The sound echoes through the emptiness, and I wince at how it amplifies the sense that we're intruding. Kit leaps down and pokes his head through the now open doorway, scanning left and right with his night vision. I don't see any. Suddenly, a blinding light floods the cabin from ahead, and a piercing train whistle blasts, deafeningly loud. I yelp and stagger back, dropping the camera which dangles from its strap around my neck. Kit recoils, flattening his metal body against the floor in surprise. The whistle dies, leaving a painful ringing in my ears. The bright light remains, illuminating the passenger car beyond with a sickly yellow glow. It swings wildly for a moment, then steadies. It looks like an old overhead lamp has just flickered on by itself. My heart in my throat, I step through, one arm up to shield my eyes until they adjust. The first passenger car is lit now by that single flickering lamp hanging from the ceiling. The space is filled with rows of old seats, the kind you'd see in mid-century trains, cushioned benches in a faded floral pattern. Many are slashed open, stuffing spilling out like innards. Some are stained with dark patches that I tell myself must be oil or water damage, but deep down I suspect it's something far more sinister. The air here is colder, and carries a hint of rot underneath the metal and oil. Is anyone here? My voice wavers despite myself. The lamp swings gently, casting moving shadows that dance across the vandalized seats and broken luggage racks above. The entire car appears empty of people. No sign of whoever laughed or triggered the whistle and light. Kit creeps to my side, fur standing on end, well, not fur, but the idea of fur, since he's all metal plating. His blue eyes narrow. No life forms visible. But my sensors are picking up something odd. I take another step in, crunching broken glass beneath my shoe. The source appears to be a shattered window on the left side. Through it, I see the yard outside growing progressively darker. Our reflection in the glass looks ghostly under the swinging light, like two intruders in a tomb. What is it, Kit? I whisper, panning the camera slowly. Every instinct tells me to turn and run, forget this whole thing. But I'm drawn forward by equal parts dread and morbid curiosity. Kit's ears, little metal triangles, perk up as he processes. Some kind of energy reading. Unfamiliar pattern. It's fluctuating, like low-level radiation or an electromagnetic field. Possibly a power source. I frown. The train's connected to electricity. But it's an old steam train, it shouldn't have power unless they rigged it. The thought is cut off by another sound, a faint scuttling noise overhead, like claws skittering on metal. My blood runs cold as I instinctively point the camera up to the ceiling. The lamp above swings again, as if something brushed past it. But I see nothing there, just the cracked ceiling panels and more cobwebs swaying. Kit's tail tightens around my ankle, I realize he's moved closer, almost hiding behind my leg. I think something's on the roof of the train, he says, voice low and uncharacteristically shaky. I hold my breath, listening. The skittering comes again, traveling along the length of the car above us, then a thump as if something dropped down onto the far end of the roof. My heart hammers. It could be an animal, like a raccoon or a stray cat. Please let it be an animal. Another thump, this time nearer. The ceiling above one of the middle rows dents inward with a loud bang, like something heavy pressed down from above. Dust rains down from the impact. I stifle a scream and stumble back towards the door we came through, bumping into the wall. Kit lets out a digital yowl of alarm. Time to go. Time to go now, he says, stating the obvious frantically. No argument here. The plan to press on for the sake of content evaporates. Fight or flight kicks in, and I'm all for flight. I spin on my heel, ready to retreat back to the engine car and out the way we came. But the door that we entered from suddenly slams shut in my face with a violent clang. I nearly smack into it. I grapple at the handle, twisting and pulling. It won't budge. The door feels like it's welded shut. Oh no, no, I babble, panic rising as I push with my shoulder. It won't open. Kit leaps up at the door handle as well, trying to use his weight, which isn't much, to jostle it. "Allow me," he says, though there's fear in his voice too. His little servo motors whine as he strains, but the door stays stubborn. It's like an invisible force is holding it closed. The train's whistle suddenly screams again, even louder this time. I clap my hands over my ears, doubling over as the sound reverberates through the metal car, making it quiver. Kit screeches, a mix between a mechanical hiss and a frightened mule, as the noise overloads his audio sensors. Then, just as abruptly, the whistle cuts off. In the ringing aftermath, I hear the unmistakable groan of wheels turning on rails. The train is moving. My stomach lurches as I feel the floor shudder beneath us. Slowly, the abandoned yard outside the windows begins to slide by. The sensation is surreal. This train was motionless and dead just minutes ago, and now it's alive, chugging forward. But there's no engine operator, no crew, unless whoever or whatever made that thumping on the roof is running the show. I rush to a window and wipe away grime with my sleeve. Through the dirty glass, I see the world outside creeping backward. The last hues of twilight are fading, and night is descending, but I can still make out the shapes of the yard. The train is definitely moving, starting to pick up speed, rolling out along the old tracks that lead into the woods beyond. My breath comes in rapid pants. This can't be happening, I whisper, feeling lightheaded. We wanted immersive horror, but this is too real. Did they lay new tracks, power the train remotely? It would be an elaborate trick, but maybe it's possible. Or maybe. Kit, logic check, I say quickly. This is a promo event, right? There must be remote controls or something, or other people on board. Kit shakes his head, clambering up onto a seat to peer out another window. "I'm not detecting any other humans," he says in a hushed tone. "And that energy reading, it's spiking. Off the charts now. It's like the train is generating it." A cold wave of dread courses through me. If no one is controlling it remotely and no one human is here, then what? Is the train itself alive? Or possessed? Choo Choo Charles, in the game, Charles is the evil train spider monster. But that was just a game character. Another heavy thud from above, towards the front of the car this time, makes me jump back from the window. The ceiling above the first row of seats buckles outward with a screech. Something punches through the metal from above, and my heart leaps into my throat. It's the tip of a long, curved metal claw, piercing down through the ceiling panel. The claw scrapes, tearing a jagged line in the metal. I stare, paralyzed by disbelief and terror, as 3 more claws, making a set of 4 like a giant spider leg, puncture through around the first hole, wrenching the gap wider. The metal groans and peels as whatever is above us pries open the ceiling like a tin can. Kit shines his light upward and it flickers across a nightmare. Through the opening, a face peers in at us, if you can call it a face. 2 glowing headlights glare like eyes set on either side of a broad, dark front. And then there's the mouth, a ghastly grin of steel, filled with dripping, oily fangs. My mind blanks for a second, and in that second time seems to slow. I see every horrific detail, the glint of the swinging lamp on what looks like iron teeth, the strands of some viscous saliva, or oil, hanging between them. The outer rim of the face is bolted metal, yet there's a sense of fleshy pulsation behind those eyes, as if something organic is embedded in the machine. I know this face. It's Charles, the spider train from the game. But it's not a friendly cartoon train, it's the monstrous version that has haunted 1,000 YouTube thumbnails. Seeing it life-size and real, my brain struggles to reconcile the absurdity and the terror. Go, go, go. Kit shrieks, snapping me out of my frozen horror. He tugs at my jeans with a claw. The creature, Charles, lets out an ear-splitting screech, a sound that's half whistle, half inhuman roar. The opening in the ceiling is still small, and it seems to be struggling to tear it wider to fit. I don't wait to see if it succeeds. Adrenaline surges, and I sprint down the aisle of the car, away from the monster at the front. Kit is right on my heels, his little legs a blur. The entire car tilts slightly as the train picks up speed around a curve, causing me to stumble against a seat, but I push off and keep running. At the far end of the passenger car is another connecting door to the next car. It's closed. Please don't be locked, I pray. Behind me, metal shrieks, Charles is peeling open more of the roof. I hear a hiss of steam or breath as it snarls. I slam into the door full force. It rattles, sticks for a heart-stopping moment, then gives. I tumble through into the next car, landing hard on my knees. Kit darts in after me. We both turn and throw our weight against the door to slam it shut. Just as it closes, we hear a thunderous crash from the other side. The creature must have dropped fully into the first car. The door quakes under a powerful blow that dents it inward. Without thinking, I grab a fallen metal bar, some broken piece of luggage rack, on the floor and jam it through the door handles, bracing it. Kit adds his own body as a doorstop, though he's small, he locks his limbs in a pressurizing stance. There's another slam from the other side, and the whole door bulges. But the improvised barricade holds, for now. Silence, except for the relentless clack-clack of the train racing over tracks and my own ragged breathing. My mind is racing as fast as the locomotive, but also a strange clarity hits. I'm trapped on a moving train with an impossible monster. This is not a prank. This is not a special effect. It's real. Real and trying to kill us. I feel a scream clawing at my throat, but I swallow it down. Panicking won't help. I force myself to look around, take stock. We're in the second passenger car now. The only light is what spills through the door's little window from the flickering lamp in the previous car, plus Kit's eyes which cast a faint glow. This car is even gloomier, its lights haven't come on, but I can make out similar rows of seats. An old briefcase lies in the aisle, and more graffiti scrawled on the walls. Kit detaches from the door, satisfied it's holding for the moment. That thing, it looked just like Charles, I finish in a whisper. My hands are shaking as I pick up my camera from where it hangs around my neck. Miraculously, it's still recording, the red light blinking. Not that uploading this footage is my top priority right now, but the absurd thought flits through that if I survive, this will be the craziest video ever. If it is Charles, we're in big trouble, Kit says, keeping his voice low as if the monster could hear us. In the game, Charles gets stronger over time and doesn't stop until his prey is dead. I flash a look at Kit, surprised by the gaming reference. Since when do you play games? He gives a tiny shrug of his metal shoulders. I read your emails. I know what we were getting into, at least what we thought we were. Did a little research. Normally I'd find that a violation of privacy, but right now I'm grateful. I recall the basics of the game lore from my own playthrough and the many videos I've watched, an island, a monster train that roams and hunts, but the key point was that in the game, Charles could be beaten with heavy firepower and strategy. Here we have neither. Also, in the game, Charles wasn't the train you were on, he was an external threat. Here, it seems like we're inside the beast. Another loud bang on the barricaded door sends a jolt through me. I hear a horrible scraping, like claws on metal, then the sound moves upward, followed by more thuds on the roof of our car. The monster is above us again. We need to keep moving, maybe get farther back in the train. If we can reach the caboose, maybe we can find a way to uncouple cars, or jump off without getting immediately caught by the engine monster. Move, I hiss, motioning down the aisle. We carefully tread around the debris on the floor. My legs feel rubbery from the adrenaline dump, and my knee throbs from the fall, but I grit my teeth and push through. Kit stays ahead by a foot, sweeping his gaze around for threats. Halfway through the car, something crunches underfoot. I pause and point the camera down, bones. Small ones. And a desiccated, oh God, is that a rat? Several of them. Their tiny corpses are dried and mummified, scattered across the aisle. My stomach turns at the sweetish, rotten smell that suddenly becomes noticeable. In the dim light, I see smears on the floor and walls that might be old blood. Kit murmurs, "I guess Charles got hungry." I bite back a nervous laugh that edges on hysteria. Gross, Kit. Though I'm glad he's still with me enough to crack dark jokes, it helps me stay grounded. We reach the far door of this car. There's a narrow vertical window in it, but it's so dark beyond I see nothing. I try the handle. It opens easily into blackness. I fumble the camera up to illuminate what I can, stepping through with Kit at my side. As soon as I do, an overpowering stench hits me, coppery and rancid. I gag, covering my mouth. The camera light sweeps the area and I realize with horror why it smells so bad. The next car is some kind of freight or baggage car, and it looks like a slaughterhouse. A rancid smell hits us, and in the jittery glow of my camera I see hanging carcasses and dripping meat. Slabs of flesh sway from hooks on the ceiling, and the floor is slick with blood. My stomach lurches. This is beyond any prank, it's a nightmare butchery. We have to wade through it, trying not to slip or touch anything. Kit leaps into my arms to avoid the gore underfoot. I force myself to breathe shallowly through my mouth as we hurry between the dangling, wet shapes. Everything in here is sticky and cold. I nearly lose it when I recognize a human-looking ribcage among the remains. It's like we're being herded through a giant abattoir. I choke down the urge to vomit and push onward. I can freak out later, if there is a later. At the end of this macabre car, a door stands slightly open with a beam of white light seeping through the crack. I practically fling myself at it, desperate to get out of this charnel house. The door swings open on well-oiled hinges, and I stumble into the next compartment, gulping fresh air. We emerge into what appears to be another passenger area or a lounge, lit by a row of weak fluorescent lights on the ceiling. Compared to the previous cars, this one is relatively intact and mercifully free of gore. But that's not what makes me stop in my tracks. A figure stands in the middle of the aisle, illuminated harshly by the fluorescence. I squint, adrenaline spiking anew. It's a person, tall, wearing what looks like a formal gray uniform with a cap. They have their back to us, seemingly unfazed by our sudden entrance. "Hello." I croak, voice echoing. Slowly, the figure turns to face us. It's a man, maybe in his 60s or older. His face is gaunt, skin sallow like wax. He's dressed like an old-fashioned train conductor, complete with a black cap that has a tarnished gold emblem. His eyes lock onto mine. There's something off about them, they're too dull, almost glassy. He lifts a finger to his lips in a shushing gesture. "Shoo," he whispers. "You'll disturb the other passengers." My blood chills at the quiet admonishment. Other passengers? My eyes dart around. At first glance the seats looked empty, but now as I focus, I see that some of them are occupied. People are sitting there, unmoving. How did I miss them? They sit stiffly upright, many wearing outdated clothing. I see a woman in a tattered Sunday dress and hat, a man in a suit slumped against a window, two children in old-fashioned school uniforms holding hands across the aisle. But none of them are moving. I step closer to the nearest occupied seat, keeping a wary eye on the conductor. The passenger is an elderly woman, her head tilted back against the headrest. Her skin is ashen, lips blue. It takes me a second to realize she isn't breathing. None of them are. "They're dead," I whisper. There must be a dozen of them spread throughout the car, corpses posed like riders on a daily commute that never ended. A wave of nausea and sadness hits me. What happened to these people? Were they victims of this train? How long have they been here? Their clothes look mid-20th century, honestly, like from the 1940s or 50s maybe. Some fashions even older. Kit's voice is tiny near my feet. "Poppy, careful." The conductor takes a step towards us. His movements are jerky, unnatural, like a puppet being yanked along. Up close, his eyes truly look glassy, almost plastic. With a start, I realize he too might be. No, he spoke. Maybe he's an AI or a ghost. You shouldn't be here, the conductor says calmly, but there's a menace under it. His mouth smiles, but his eyes stay dull. Passengers must remain seated when the train is in motion. I swallow, backing up a half step. I'm sorry, sir, I say automatically, as if he were real authority. We got on by mistake. We need to get off. Can you stop the train? He tilts his head, almost in pity. Afraid I can't do that. Not till the route's complete. Rules are rules. A low groan from overhead reminds me the monster is still active, likely crawling across the roof of the cars. I glance at the ceiling, expecting claws to tear through any second. What route? Where is this train going? The conductor's smile stretches wider, too wide. I hear the sound of joints popping in his face, the skin at the corners of his mouth splitting slightly as it goes beyond human limits. He speaks with a cheerful cadence that contrasts with his grim expression. All the way to the end of the line. Last stop for these fine folks here, he gestures with a white-gloved hand at the dead passengers, and for you as well, miss. Welcome aboard. My hands tremble. The fear is almost overwhelming, but anger flickers in me too now. You mean victims, I snap. Those people are dead. At that, the conductor actually chuckles, a dry, rasping sound. Oh, they weren't dead when they boarded. Charles likes to play with his food. A hot tear slips down my cheek before I can stop it. This is a nightmare. This can't be real. I briefly flash back to the safety of my apartment, streaming games with a laugh, thinking how fake everything seems on a screen. Now I'm here, and it's all horrifyingly real. The blood on my hands isn't corn syrup, those bodies aren't props. Kit interjects in a growl, what do you want with us? We're not staying. The conductor's attention shifts to the robot cat. He seems mildly amused. A clever toy. I'm not sure if Charles has tasted artificial life before. I hug Kit protectively against my leg. You'll have to go through me, I say without thinking, voice shaking but determined. Another rumble on the roof, it sounds like the monster moving toward the back of the train, possibly coming around to this car. We don't have time for a standoff. I need information and a way out. How do we get off this train? I demand. There has to be an emergency brake, or a stop, or something. The conductor's head twitches, and for a second his face goes blank, like a TV losing signal. When his features resettle, there's a flicker of something like sadness. No getting off, he murmurs, almost too low to hear. We're all passengers here. Best to enjoy the ride. Screw that. My fear crystallizes into resolve. I shift Kit behind me slightly and reach out, grabbing the conductor's arm. His sleeve is cold as ice. I try to yank him aside to get by, but his form suddenly collapses, like pulling on a suit of clothes with no person inside. And that's all he is, an empty uniform. The hat, jacket, pants, all deflate onto the floor in a heap as soon as I tug. I stumble back, shocked. The uniform lies there, limp. Something rolls out of the pant leg, coming to rest against my sneaker. It's a human femur, cracked and gnawed at one end. With a cry of disgust, I kick it away. The bone skitters across the floor and taps one of the dead passenger's shoes. I look up at her, for a split second, I think her eyes have moved to look at me, but it's just a trick of the light. Her desiccated face remains still. Kit shudders. We have to keep moving, he whispers. Right. Past the conductor there's a door to what should be the next car, likely the caboose since this train wasn't very long. I avoid looking at the seated corpses as I make my way forward. I'm sorry, I whisper to them, not even sure why I'm apologizing, maybe for disturbing them, or maybe because I'm alive and they aren't. Just as I reach the door, a deafening crash comes from behind us. I glance back and see the ceiling of the car caved inward near the middle. A massive spider-like leg, all metal and jointed, with steaming pistons, punches through, and then another. Through the gap, those hellish headlight eyes glare, sweeping the car. The monster is ripping into the passenger car now, and the bodies within aren't going to deter it. I force the door open and slip through into a small compartment at the rear, the caboose. In doing so, I nearly tumble down a short set of steps. There's a ladder leading up to a hatch in the roof that is open to the night air. The interior is sparse, just a couple of wooden crates and tools strewn about. On the opposite wall, I spot a red lever enclosed in a glass case. It looks like an emergency brake. My heart leaps with hope. I rush to it. The glass is already shattered, probably from the jostling when the train started moving. I don't hesitate, I grab the lever and pull with all my might. It's rusted and stubborn, but after a moment it gives and slams downward with a loud clunk. For a second, nothing happens. The train keeps hurtling onward, shaking and rattling. Did it even work? My mind reels at the possibility that the brake is dead or disconnected. Then I feel it, a jolt. The screech of metal on metal as brakes along the train engage. The car shudders and I hear a horrible squealing as the wheels fight against momentum. I brace myself, grabbing onto a rail, and clutch Kit tight. Hold on. I shout over the noise. The brakes screech louder, sparks flying outside the window as steel grinds against steel. The train lurches violently, slowing. Up ahead, I hear an enraged roar, the monster, furious that its ride is coming to an end. It sounds distant now, maybe it was still in the car ahead when I hit the brake, and is being thrown off balance by the sudden deceleration. With one more tortured shriek, the train finally comes to a grinding halt, nearly tossing me to the floor. I catch myself on the ladder rungs. Kit tumbles from my arms onto a crate but seems okay, if a bit rattled. For a moment, there's silence except for the hissing of cooling metal and the distant hoot of an owl in the woods outside. We stopped. Thank God, we stopped. I don't wait for anything else. I scramble up the ladder toward the open hatch. Fresh air, freedom, escape. But just as I push Kit up ahead of me and prepare to climb out, a shape looms at the hatch opening. In the dim moonlight, I see the roundhouse grin of Charles peering down into the caboose. He must have clambered over the cars when the train halted. His front half hangs over the end of the roof, those spider legs anchoring him in place. A guttural snarl reverberates down into my bones. I scream and let go of the ladder, dropping back into the car. One of Charles's claws swipes through the hatch, narrowly missing me but slicing clean through the wood of the crate I'd set Kit on. Splinters fly. Kit yowls and darts out of reach, pressing against the far wall. We're cornered. The only exit is blocked by a monster that is now partially crawling into the caboose. His front end forces through the hatch, I can see the full detail of his nightmare face, the locomotive visage twisted with malevolence, oily drool spilling onto the floor. A huge tongue, black and segmented like a conveyor belt, snakes out and licks the air, as if tasting for us. I back up until I'm next to Kit, my hand finding a heavy wrench on a tool shelf. It's laughable as a weapon against this thing, but I brandish it anyway. My whole body is shaking. So this is it. After everything, this is where we die. Trapped in the last car of a ghost train, about to be devoured by a mechanical horror. Charles squeezes further in, the wood around the hatch cracking. Those eyes fix on me, and I feel an icy dread pin me in place. It's like staring into the high beams of an oncoming truck, you freeze like a deer. A clicking, chittering noise echoes from him, a horrible mimicry of a train chugging, maybe a laugh. His claw reaches out slowly, almost teasingly, towards us. Kit presses against my leg, trembling, but he speaks softly, "Poppy, thank you for being my friend." A sob catches in my throat at his seemingly final words. I clutch the wrench, knuckles white. The fear is suffocating, like I'm drowning in it. Flashes of everything that led me here buzz in my mind, my bright idea to chase thrills for an audience, my naive belief that it was all just a game. If I ever get out of this, I swear I'll what? Never do something stupid like this again. But I might not get out. No. No, I refuse to end like this. Charles lunges. In that split second, time seems to slow down again. I see the claw coming at me, I see the mouth opening, those metal fangs ready to rend and tear. And I also see something else, behind Charles, through the gap of the hatch and just beyond his bulk, the sky. The open sky of night, with stars and a glint of the crescent moon. The world outside this train. It's right there. Freedom. I don't know if it's a surge of adrenaline, madness, or some inner strength fueled by pure refusal to die cowering, but I suddenly find myself moving toward the monster instead of away. I scream, a primal, desperate cry, and swing the wrench with every ounce of strength in me, not at the claw, but at one of those glowing headlight eyes. The metal tool smashes into the glass of the left eye. It shatters with a burst of sparks and oily liquid. Charles recoils, letting out a shriek of pain and anger. The claw misses me by inches, gouging the floor instead. He wasn't expecting resistance like that. Honestly, neither was I. But now that I've heard it, even just a little, a fierce resolve ignites in me. Get away from us. I scream, swinging again wildly. I clip one of the spider legs this time. A dent forms, and more black ichor sprays. It smells like burnt tar and blood. Charles thrashes, half in and half out of the caboose, trying to get at me or maybe retreat for a moment to reassess. Up the ladder, go. Kit shouts. I'll cover you. I don't know how he's going to cover me, but I trust him. With shaking limbs, I scramble back up the ladder. Charles's one remaining headlight eye swivels toward me and he hisses, lunging anew, but Kit suddenly jumps forward with a shrill digital screech, swiping with his own tiny claws at the monster's face. It's like a mouse challenging a lion, but it distracts Charles enough that his lunge goes wide. I hoist myself through the hatch onto the roof of the caboose. Night air hits my face and for a second I really breathe. We're out. We're out. The train tracks stretch behind us into dark woods from where we came. The locomotive and the rest of the cars loom ahead, silent now except for ominous creaks. I turn and extend my hand down. Kit, come on. Kit is backing up toward the ladder, still facing Charles, who is furious now. The monster's partially blinded and ichor drips down his metal face, making him look even more terrifying. He roars and tries to squeeze further into the caboose, swiping at Kit. One of those massive claws catches the little robot, sending him skidding across the floor with a crunch. No. I scream, thinking he's been smashed, but Kit rights himself, one ear bent at an odd angle, and scampers up the ladder rung with his front paws. I grab him and yank him out. As I do, Charles lunges one more time, his jaws snapping just below the hatch. I feel the rush of wind and the graze of those metal teeth against my boot, nearly pulling me down, but then Kit and I are on the roof, rolling away as the monster's face rams into the opening, too large to fit through. Wasting no time, I haul Kit to his feet. One of his LED eyes is flickering, but he's functional. The train sits in a slight clearing by the tracks. On either side is forest, and just ahead the tracks lead into a tunnel carved into a hillside. Did we travel that far already? It's pitch black inside that tunnel beyond the locomotive. Charles is extricating himself from the caboose, dragging his bulk up onto the roof with us. The spider legs clatter on the metal of the train. The whole structure shakes from his weight. I grab Kit and run along the roof toward the back end of the caboose, away from the monster. There's a ladder on the outside we can climb down, or we might just have to jump. The train isn't moving now, but it's still a few feet off the ground. A sprained ankle is better than being eaten. We reach the end and I look over. It's not too far of a drop, maybe 8 feet. I'm about to jump when a furious wail makes me glance back. Charles is perched atop the caboose now, a hulking silhouette of nightmare against the starry sky. He's partly in the moonlight, which highlights the gore and mechanical ruin of his form, a demonic engine with spidery limbs outstretched. Smoke or steam rises from his vents like he's panting. His one good headlight glares like a wild eye. This is the moment. He's going to charge and try to grab us before we can escape. If I jump now, mid-jump I might be snatched. If I hesitate, I'm dead for sure. I look down at Kit in my arms. Hold tight. I warn. Then, to give us a boost, I take a running start and leap off the edge of the caboose with every bit of strength left. For a breathless moment, we're airborne. I clutch Kit, twisting my body to try to land on my side or back rather than let him or my legs take the full impact. The ground rushes up. We slam into it hard. Pain jolts up my left leg as I hit and roll into the weeds by the tracks. My shoulder crashes into the dirt, and I bite back a cry as a hot burst of pain sears through it. Kit is jolted from my grasp in the tumble, but he lands a few feet away, letting out a startled "mro" as he somersaults. I gasp, blinking away tears of pain. It hurts, but I'm alive. We're off the train. Above, Charles screeches in rage. I see him crawling down the side of the caboose toward us, legs skittering over the wheels and tracks with alarming speed. His bulk makes the rails shake, wooden ties splintering under his weight. Limping, I force myself up and grab Kit under his armpits. One of his legs is bent, making it hard for him to run. I half carry, half drag him as we stumble away from the train into the tree line. Behind us, Charles drops to the ground with a ground-shaking thud, dirt flying. Now he's on the loose, off the tracks entirely, galloping after us like a giant metal spider with a locomotive's body. In the dim light I see his full shape, and it's almost more than my mind can take in, an engine about the size of a large truck, supported by 8 spidery mechanical legs, each ending in a spike-like point that stabs into earth for traction. His front has the semblance of a face, but with that one shattered headlight and warping metal, it's like a broken mask of a demon. We dash through the trees. Branches whip at my face. It's so dark under the canopy, I can barely see, but I hear the splintering of wood as Charles plows through the forest behind us, not slowing at all. He is not confined by the rails anymore, he's hunting us through the brush. A root catches my foot and I fall, tumbling down a small slope with Kit slipping from my grip again. I hear him call out through our internal comm link, a handy feature now that he's not right next to me, "Poppy. Keep going, don't stop." I scramble up, hissing at the jolt of pain in my ankle. We appear to have rolled into some kind of shallow gully. Up ahead through the trees, I can make out open sky again, maybe a clearing or a road. If we can get out of this dense forest, maybe Charles will be slowed down, or at least will have more room to maneuver. I grit my teeth and half limp, half run forward. Kit manages to hobble along beside me, though he's sparking and one leg drags. My heart squeezes seeing him hurt, but I can't carry him and run effectively, so he does his best to keep pace. The noise behind us is relentless, snapping trunks, a roar of frustration. Charles is too big to move gracefully in the thick woods, but he's forcing his way through by sheer power. We just have to stay ahead of him a little longer. The trees thin out as we reach the edge of the forest. I see a pale gravel road or path reflecting the moonlight. On the other side of it is an old fence and beyond that, a field of tall grass. Further out, a few pinpricks of light, could that be a town or houses? I sprint across the gravel road, nearly dragging Kit now. A miracle, parked by the fence is a dusty pickup truck. It looks decades old, but right now it's a beacon of hope. If I can get it started. I haul the driver's side door. Locked. Of course. I peer through the window, no one inside. Probably left here by some hunter or farmer. I cast a glance over my shoulder, I can see the glow of Charles's headlight filtering through the last line of trees. He's almost here. No time for subtlety. I raise the heavy wrench still clutched in my hand and smash it against the driver's window. It cracks. I smash again, gritting my teeth. The glass shatters on the third hit. I reach in and unlock the door. "Come on, Kit," I shout as I fling it open and practically throw him onto the passenger seat. I scramble in after him, sweeping broken glass off the seat. My hands shake as I fumble under the visor, a long shot, but people do it in movies. By some stroke of luck, a key drops into my lap. Who leaves their keys in the visor? Not complaining. I jam the key in the ignition and twist. The engine sputters. No, no, no. I twist again, pumping the gas. The truck coughs to life with a rumble that vibrates the whole frame. Headlights flicker on, illuminating the fence and road ahead. In that same moment, the trees behind us explode outward. Charles bursts onto the gravel road, bits of branches and leaves raining around him. He pauses, head swiveling as his one blazing eye zeroes in on the truck. In the harsh light, he looks even more hideous. Patches of forest debris cling to his spidery legs, and his metal faceplate is smeared with dirt and ichor. He digs his pointed legs into the road, readying to pounce. "No you don't," I growl, slamming the truck into drive. I floor the accelerator. The tires spin on the loose gravel for a heart-stopping second, but then catch. The truck lurches forward, roaring onto the country lane. Charles charges after us, letting out a shrill whistle that sounds like fury incarnate. I glance at the speedometer climbing past 40. 50. The truck rattles violently. It's old and not built for racing, but I have no choice. Kit has pulled himself upright in the seat, looking out the back window. "He's gaining," he cries. I see it too in the side mirror. The monster is galloping only about 30 feet behind, keeping pace with terrifying ease. He moves in an almost galloping motion, legs stabbing down, then vaulting his trained body forward. It's grotesquely graceful in its own way. Up ahead, the gravel road intersects with a paved road, a highway of some sort. There's a stop sign and beyond it, a small wooden sign, "Town of Blackwood, 2 miles. Town. If we can get into a populated area, maybe the monster will retreat or at least there will be more places to hide. Though I worry about others' safety too. But right now, I need help." Charles changes tactics. He veers closer to the road behind us, and suddenly, with a screech, he leaps onto the paved highway as we tear onto it. I feel the back of the truck fishtail as I wrench the wheel onto the main road. The smooth asphalt lets me accelerate more, 60 miles per hour now, but the old truck is shaking like it might fall apart. There's a loud clang and I jolt. Charles slammed one of his legs down just behind the truck, barely missing the bed. A spray of gravel pings off the tailgate. He's trying to skewer us or maybe even flip the truck. We race past a dark gas station on the edge of town. In the mirror, I see a sudden bloom of fire as one of Charles's wild swipes hits the fuel pumps. The explosion lights up the night sky, briefly engulfing the monster in a fireball. He shrieks, flailing as flames lick his body. I don't slow down, if anything I push the pedal harder. Let the bastard burn. As we roar down Main Street, I lean on the horn, hoping to warn any late-night pedestrians. Streetlights flash by in a blur. I catch a glimpse of a lone man outside a diner, staring at us slack-jawed. In the mirror I see Charles emerge from the explosion, parts of him still ablaze. He barrels onward, trailing smoke and fire. The gas station blast slowed him, but not nearly enough. Up ahead, the small downtown looks deserted at this hour. We blow past a flickering traffic light. I spot flashing blue and red lights a few blocks ahead. The police are responding to the chaos, maybe from that explosion or someone called about a rampaging train. I swing the truck abruptly down a side street and kill the headlights. We screech into an alley behind a row of shops and I slam the brakes. Kit, down. I hiss, and we both duck in the cab. I kill the engine, plunging us into darkness and silence, save for the ticking of the overheated engine. My heart pounds in my ears. Outside, I hear distant shouting, sirens, and an otherworldly metallic shriek that sets my teeth on edge. Charles is in the town, and it sounds like he's not being subtle. I risk a peek around the dumpster in the alley. On the main street, one police cruiser is on its side, lights still flashing. Another is parked further down, 2 officers crouched behind it. They fire a couple of gunshots, but I know it won't do much. I flinch, realizing others are now involved in this nightmare. My stomach twists with guilt and resolve. Hiding won't save us or anyone else. I started this ride, I have to help end it. Leaving the truck, I creep up behind a surviving police cruiser with its lights flashing. A young officer is crouched there, shotgun in shaking hands. He fires a blast at Charles, who is now clawing out of a wrecked storefront in a shower of bricks and glass. The buckshot pings off the monster's metal hide, hardly slowing it. As the officer fumbles to reload, I spot an overturned police car nearby that has spilled its trunk contents across the street. Among the debris is a bright orange road flare kit. That gives me an idea. Cover me. I shout to the cop, though I'm not even sure he hears me over the chaos. I sprint to the fallen kit, skidding on broken glass, and snatch up a flare. My fingers tremble, but I manage to crack and ignite it. A furious red flame sputters to life. Charles turns his single blazing headlight eye toward the sudden light in my hand. His face twists in rage, steam belching from his grill. Without hesitation, I wave the flare to keep his attention and back into a narrow side alley between 2 buildings. Come on, you overgrown engine. I yell, voice raw. This way. The creature lets out a shriek and charges after me, metal legs gouging the asphalt. I dart deeper down the alley, heart pounding. It's a dead end, but that's part of my plan. In the corner by a dumpster, I spot a metal drum with a faded flammable symbol. Please be something useful. I throw my shoulder against the drum, tipping it over. A foul chemical odor hits my nose as liquid gushes out, spreading across the alley floor. Charles is at the alley mouth now, struggling to cram his bulk in. His claws scrape the brick walls as he forces himself forward, drawn by the flare and by fury. At the last second, I fling the flare directly into the spreading pool of fluid. Burn! I snarl, diving behind the dumpster. Humph! The liquid ignites in a blazing rush of heat and light. Flames race up Charles's front, washing him in fire. The monster reels back, emitting an ear-splitting whistle scream. His entire body is engulfed, metal sizzling and popping. For a moment, he thrashes in the inferno, and I dare to hope it's over. But with a final, desperate howl, Charles lunges forward one more time, straight into the heart of the blaze. There's a blinding flash as his superheated boiler or fuel ignites. Boom! The explosion rocks the alley, a wave of heat and force throwing me off my feet. I slam into the alley wall and collapse onto the pavement, ears ringing. Debris rains down, shards of metal, bits of smoldering wood, and globs of that black tar-like blood. Coughing, I push myself up. My whole body hurts, but I'm alive. And ahead, where the monster stood, I see only a burning wreck. As the flames roar, pieces of Charles lie scattered. One of those ghastly headlight eyes flickers and then goes dark, detached from the ruined hulk of his engine body. Finally, a heavy silence falls, broken only by the crackle of fire. I stagger out of the alley, covered in soot and grime, just as a few stunned townspeople and the officer converge at a safe distance. They're staring at the flaming remains in shock. Kit limps out from under a nearby bench, a bit charred but okay, and rushes to my side. I scoop him up, cradling him close despite my burns and bruises. We watch the bonfire that was once CHO CHO Charles. Is it dead? The officer asks hoarsely, lowering his weapon. I nod, tears of relief mingling with sweat on my face. Yeah, I rasp. We stopped it. It's not going to hurt anyone else. A small crowd is gathering, keeping well back from the scene. I see disbelief, terror, and awe on their faces. I meet the officer's wide eyes. It was a monster, a living train. But it's over now. He gives a numb nod. More sirens wail in the distance, backup and firefighters arriving. I hold Kit tight, feeling his little metal heart whirring against my chest. You okay? I whisper. He looks up at me with his singed whisker-like antennae and manages a weak, witty meow. Next time, let's take the bus. A surprised laugh bursts out of me, bordering on hysterical but real. Amid the adrenaline crash and shock, his humor is the anchor I need. Deal, I say softly. Standing there in the smoky night, I realize how close I came to losing everything, my life, my friend. This whole nightmarish ride, I was moments away from being consumed by fear and by Charles. But when it mattered most, I chose to fight. I chose freedom. As firefighters douse the flames and bewildered officers start asking questions, I find myself looking up at the pale hint of dawn on the horizon. I survived. We survived. And the terror that tried to control and consume us is nothing but scrap and ash now. I don't know what happens next. There will be questions, probably news reports, maybe even internet fame from the footage if my camera made it. But one thing I'm sure of, I'll never forget what this night taught me. Fear only has the power we give it, and I'm done giving it anything.